Hello and welcome to Murphy's Garden, and you join me today in a new location. We're down in Devon and we're visiting RHS Garden Rosemoor, and this is a garden I haven't visited before, so very exciting to go and have a look round this garden. The garden is nestled in a Devonshire valley and the formal part is divided up using yew hedging. Both the valley setting and the hedging gives this garden a very sheltered feel even on this rather windy day. Perhaps, as you may expect, Rosemoor is well known for its roses, and it has two rose gardens. This one that we're now entering is called the Queen Mother Rose Garden. It's now October, but there's still a very impressive amount of colour even at this time of year. Now, the central point to this garden is this lovely big arbour, which is right in the middle of the garden. It's set out in a kind of formal parterre structure, and this arbour is covered with climbing roses. It must look absolutely spectacular and smell spectacular in the height of summer. So we'll just pan around and you can have a look at some of the roses that are in bloom. Here's a lovely yellow one here. You can see what I mean, that it is a rather windy day. So we'll just leave the rose garden and I will just show you a map of Rosemoor Garden from the air, and you can see that it is divided into this formal part of the garden here, and if we just zoom in on the formal section you can see the context of where we are now. So we are in A on the map, and you can see that there's this sort of central corridor that runs the entire length of the garden, and it's also got big herbaceous borders running the entirety of this formal garden, which is lovely, and it's all edged with yew topiary and a central circle in the middle. And these are the long borders with lots of herbaceous perennials. We've got dahlias, geraniums, perovskia, some nice sedum and geraniums. Persicaria there at the back, and different grasses, and box hedging, topiarised, and here we've got some nepeta and some agapanthus, lots of asters at this time of year, of course, aconitum, that's in flower, back in flower, and the weather here is a lot milder than we're used to in Shropshire, so I guess they can grow a lot more tender varieties of things. That's Acanthus spinosus, lovely grass at the back there, Scanthus, some fuchsias, bidens and Hemercallis. We're now entering the Cool Garden, formerly known as the Spiral Garden, which was designed in 1992 by Tom Stuart Smith shortly after it was gifted to the RHS. It's now been redesigned by award-winning garden designer Joe Thompson and opened as the Cool Garden in July 2019. The garden provides an inspiring example of how a designed landscape can help deal with the heavy rainfall that is typical in Devon and can cope with flash flooding. With a cool, calm colour palette and a focus on water, this relatively new part of the garden, the Cool Garden, is the perfect foil for the fiery planting of the neighbouring Hot Garden. This garden builds upon the relaxed style and subtle tones and silvery foliage of the former Spiral Garden. The space features plants with cool coloured flowers of blue, white and pastel shades that complement and flow with the water element of the garden's design. There are around 3,000 plants in this garden, many of which have been recycled from its original design, and others have been added to enhance the collection of plants. This is nice. This is a pond with slate on its side. It looks really, really good as an edging stone, and how they've made it thicker in areas. And a nice planting combination here, and this stripy grass is Miscanthus sinensis strictus. Looks good, and they've got it with the Pittosporum golf ball. They did get a bit hit by the bad winter last year. I've never seen this Hylotelephium or sedum. This is a white version. Called Iceberg, and they've got it with some white dahlias, and I guess that's a white phlox. Some more beautiful planting, beautiful Alströmera, and this grass is a Panicum variegatum North Wind, which is lovely, and they've got it next to this very nice plant. Look at this beautiful texture. This is a Phlomis fruticose, I think that's how you say it. Lovely foliage. It's quite big, isn't it? It's lovely, like that. Lovely the way this garden is designed, and look at the little bridges that run over these kind of little rills of water, and using local stone and also maximising what they've got in abundance. So water can often be, flash flooding can often be a problem in many gardens, but here we turn that on its head and utilise it and make it actually into a feature and something to celebrate, something good. And Rosemoor, in contrast to Hydehall, there another of their gardens, which is in the driest part of the country and utilises plants that thrive in those conditions, Rosemoor uses the conditions that they've got. So the RHS teaching us time and time again to don't fight against what you've got, go with it and embrace it. So out of the cool garden, back along the herbaceous paths, and I do like the way in a lot of these RHS gardens they use hedging to sort of subdivide herbaceous borders up. Guess it gives it a little bit of protection from the wind as well. Here we've got a big clump of Persicaria, and we'll head now. I'm very excited to go into the hot garden, a contrast to the cool garden. To begin with, I just love these containers with the canna, the dark purple canna, and the yellow contrasting foliage of the creeping jenny, both of which are tender plants, but they really capture the mood of what lies beyond. Gosh, and it really is windy today, and the plants are being buffeted about. It reminds me of being back home. And there is a plant from our own garden, Eupatorium purpureum, just love that variety. And here is a grass that we have at home too. This is Melina cerulea stratlinquill, growing here next to this Alströmera red beauty. So the colour theme for this garden is lots of yellows, lots of purples, lots of reds, but yeah, lots of the contrasting foliage, the yellow and the purples used quite frequently throughout this garden. It's really lovely to see how it's done. And this is interesting. This is catalpa, which we saw, common name is Indian bean tree, and we saw this at RHS Garden Bridgewater when we visited in the summer. It's lovely, really lovely big leaves. Oh, and just look beneath the catalpa for some very clever planting. This is a masterclass in colour, form and texture, all working so well together. So we've got the yellow leaves of this Phormium, spiky leaves, next to this AGM awarded dahlia called Moonfire, with its dark, very dark purple foliage and the yellow flowers, which are just brought out by the yellow leafed Phormium next to it. Looks really, really good together. And then above this is a buddleia, and then to the side is another contrasting yellow to the foliage is Coreopsis Schnitt Gold. And lots of lovely ideas, but the ideas keep on coming as we head into the Foliage and Plantsman's garden. And not to disappoint, we'll begin with this lovely golden cornus Alba aurea next to this dark leaf Euchera. And I'm sometimes not that keen on fuchsias as they can look a bit blisey, but I really like this rather dainty and understated one. This is Fuchsia magellanica. And it's got this silvery foliage which contrasts so well with the pink flowers, and they've got it growing here next to this Persicaria. And at this time of the year, don't the sedums look great? And these have been reclassified, so we must all get used to calling them by their new name, which is Hylotelephium. And this one, as you would expect, is an AGM awarded plant called Herbstfreud. And we'll continue our stroll down the path. Some beautiful looking bamboo with yellow stems, lots of grasses, miscanthus, and very nice tree in the distance there. That looks nice. I think that's another catalpa by the look of it, and another little hebe that's been hit by the frost, but yes, that is a catalpa. Isn't that lovely? That's quite a big one compared to the other one. And this is just a great place to come because we're looking for ideas for trees for our own garden. So it's a really good time to see them, and also all the shrubs as well. Oh, this is a eucalyptus. Lovely, lovely bark. Look at the beautiful bark on that. But I don't think Al's too keen on having a eucalyptus because he thinks they'll get too big. But isn't that beautiful? Love that. Oh, this is interesting. This is Nandina domestica. So this is newly planted, so it hasn't really got going yet. But if you like the look of bamboo but you're a bit terrified of planting it because of its invasiveness, then look at Nandina domestica as an alternative. It looks really, really good. So just more shrubs and trees to look at, lots of colour, form and texture. Oh, and this is a Scots pine. That's something we wouldn't have considered, but isn't that gorgeous? Look at the bark on that. It's very, very red. The trunk is beautiful and it's got this nice multi-stemmed look. So quick reference back to the map. So we've done A, the hot garden, H in the top right hand corner is the Foliage and Plantsman's garden, and now we're in G, which is the herb, Potager and Cottage gardens, and this is really, really cutesy, really lovely. Oh, and look over here is lots of kale, but it hasn't got any caterpillar marks on it, unlike mine. I don't know whether that's because it's being covered, I don't know, but it's not covered now and it's growing next to all these marigolds and things. So whether is it the companion planting that's preventing it being eaten, I don't know. There's lots of things, lots of ideas here, lots of climbers and things. Grapes, oh, I'll just try one. They're rather nice. Some beautiful cottage garden planting. Look at this sweet little cottage with clematis and roses. Very quintessentially English country garden. Look at these rose hips, aren't they beautiful? And it's got a nice thatched roof. And all the vegetables just look so perfect. Here's some all different colours of chard, rainbow colours of chard, and the way they've got things growing and climbing up, really good structures, some lovely ideas, and I love the way they've got the nasturtiums just sprawling through the leeks, and good use of companion planting. So lots of ideas that I would like to try next year. I do love that kind of cottage garden thing where you're just letting the flowers grow through the vegetables. Lovely little idea of hazel made into a structure with the squashes growing up it. Very nice. This is a lovely idea. So they've got lots of different herbs growing and they've just edged it quite simply with wicker, but it looks really effective. And look at this stone. I love the way they've done the stone. But here's all the different herbs. So they've got thyme, sage, oregano, chives and marjoram. And this is the view back towards the little thatched cottage. Isn't that pretty? Such a charming little spot. And really crammed full of loads of ideas here. And another little pond here, lots and lots of water in Rosemoor. And we'll head now to F on the map, which is the final of the formal part of the garden and is the shrub rose garden. So whereas the other rose garden, which was the Queen Mother's rose garden, was predominantly climbers, rose climbers, this is all shrub roses. So obviously at this time of year, not a lot is flowering. Some of them are, but not as many as would be in summer. So I will post a picture of what this area looks like in summer. So we're now in the model gardens and then we'll proceed in the distance into the winter garden. So lots more ideas to see here. This is the lovely Choicea extowitiana White Dazzler Lundas, another lovely plant. And here, a great idea for that awkward area underneath a tree where you're not quite sure what to do. This is Epimedium, and here it's growing under this tree and also next to a hedge. So quite a challenging spot, but it always performs really well in this setting. And here is a lovely little Daphne, and this is actually a viburnum. I wouldn't have guessed that. Viburnums are such a big group and they all look so very different. And this path is a good idea, using pebbles and perhaps old bits of slate or even brick you could do it with. But it's a good way of using up perhaps some materials that are left over from other projects, but it looks really, really effective. And it leads on to this lovely little water feature at the end. And this is Prunus rula with its lovely red bark. Nice little seat here. And this is Calacarpa. So I bought one of these, and after I bought it I kind of wondered why I bought it, but now this year it's looking really good, as this one is too. It's got these lovely purple berries on it. So here we've got Salix, Golden Ness, Euonymus europaeus Red Cascade, Then the yellow plant is Cornus sanguinea Magic Flame. And here's a picture with the names of all the plants that we can see from this viewpoint, and they work so well together, so you could literally just copy and paste this into your own garden. It looks fantastic. Particularly love this cornus, this yellow cornus. I would really like one of these. And it looks good here next to the spindle tree. And I think one of my very favourite trees, and probably the favourite one I have currently in my own garden, is this Acer Grisium, and ours is still in its infancy, but it is getting more beautiful every year. And this is a view from this point in the garden. And lots of beautiful conifers, this Pinus, which looks a bit like a big monster, and this is Pinus strobus and densa. And behind it is the same tree, Pinus strobus, but in a yellow form, and this one's called Louis. They look really good next to each other. And then this is Picea. Put the name on the screen, I can't remember what it is. And this is the lovely contorted hazel, which we have in our own garden, and it makes a really interesting shape. I think you'll agree this garden is absolutely fabulous, and there's still more to see and definitely something for everyone. But as we head down this path, we're heading to the orchard, and then we'll go on to the Arboretum. And as we walk down the path and marvel at all the top class plants, it's quite apparent that virtually every plant has an AGM award. And the Award of Garden Merit, as AGM as it's called, is a long established annual award for plants by the British Royal Horticultural Society. This garden is owned by the RHS, so they would be crazy if they didn't heed their own advice. All plants with an AGM are awarded based on an assessment of plants' performance under UK growing conditions, and ones which receive an award often have the very best attributes. Gardens in the UK are in USDA hardiness zones 6 through 9, so if you live outside the UK and fall within these zones, then you should have success with these plants too. And on our way to the orchard, just spotted this tree. It's a beautiful shape, and it's actually a malus. It's a cut leaf crab apple. Isn't it lovely? And just before we arrive at the orchard, look at this beautiful newly thatched little shelter. Isn't that gorgeous? So there are lots of apples to try on this little stand, so I'll pop some money in the box and try some of these different apples. Oh, look at the chickens, Al. And we're just enjoying our delicious apples while we take in all the sights. A lovely lady and man made of pots, and all the magnificent display of vegetables. Everything's growing perfectly. All these lovely lettuces and climbers and leeks and everything. It's just stunning. And I guess the food is used in the restaurant on site. Here we've got a nice little greenhouse, and yeah, some loads of climbing beans and these little raised borders which look good. We're hoping to do something similar in our own garden. Oh, I've loved this. So leaving the orchard now, and we're heading along this sort of damp area with lots of rocks and stones and bamboo and lots of water. And this actually goes as a road above, and we go through the tunnel under the road and over to the Arboretum. And the first tree that we see is the lovely liquid amber Staurocyphilus thea. And there's quite a few trees planted. There's some very mature trees, and there's some fairly newly planted ones. This one looks very pretty. This is called Aurelia chinensis, common name Chinese angelica tree. Another good tree, this is a Stewartia pseudo-camellia. And a little seating area over here. A clever little idea just to build a little raised wall with a seat behind it, which would give the feeling of intimacy and a bit of shelter too. And another liquid amber thea. This is a medium to large tree, and we'll get to 25 metres in height and 12 metres spread. Now, if you like Metasequoia glyptostrobodes, which is a massive tree getting to about 45 metres in height, 150 feet, but you can't obviously fit that in a domestic garden, then this may be the answer. This is called Chubby, the variety, and it gets to about 5 metres, 16 foot in height. And another liquid amber, this one called Midwest Sunset, and this will get to 12 metres in height with about 8 metres spread. And another liquid amber, this is liquid amber Styraciflora rotundiloba, and same beautiful colour. This one gets to 22 metres by 15 metres, but the difference is it has these rounded tips. And looking at the leaves side by side, you can see the difference. So on the right is Midwest Sunset, then Thea in the middle, and the rotundiloba on the left. A lovely plant for colour, Euonymus alatus compactus, also known as burning bush for obvious reasons. Look at the beautiful colour on that, isn't that nice? And we'll head now this way, and this is very charming. This is a Stumpery and very well done. Lots of stumps with ferns sticking out of them in the crevices, lots of moss everywhere, and yeah, very nicely done. And look at here.
Oh, isn't that nice? Look. Oh, look how they've done that. Oh, this is a dead end here. Look, isn't that cool? Oh look, they've done it as a little kind of folly.
It looks very clear, isn't it?
It's beautiful, yeah.
Sadly, we've finished our tour and we'll begin heading back.
So I think you'll agree it's a beautiful garden, lots to see and lots of inspiration. So thank you very much from RHS Garden Rosemoor, and join us again in the next video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye for now.